We all know fast food. It's quick, it's easy, we can eat it on the run, and it's usually pretty tasty. Most of it has lots of fat and lots of sugar. But think for a moment about the effect that fast food has on us. It leads to weight gain, it slows us down, it can even make us sick. If you look at it like that, it's not fast food at all. Real fast foods keep you on the go and help you maintain sustained energy. They repair your muscles, build your bones, and make you feel great, in body and in mind. In this program, we'll explore how a good diet can give us the nutrients we need to stay in top shape, avoid sickness, and get the most out of life. We'll look at a healthy, balanced diet, the nature of nutrients, nutrients for fuel, meeting your energy requirements, and consequences of nutritional imbalance. A healthy diet is an essential part of a healthy life. Through eating the right foods, we receive the nutrients our bodies require for growth and development, repair and maintenance of body tissues, and energy for physical activity. It also helps us avoid diet-related illness. But what are the right foods? And how can we tell if we're getting a healthy, balanced diet? A healthy, balanced diet is one that contains an appropriate combination of foods from the 5 main food groups. The 5 main food groups are breads and cereals, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, and meat. Eating from each of these groups ensures our bodies receive all the nutrients they need to stay healthy. And as we'll discuss later, it also ensures our bodies take in the energy they need to keep on moving. Because just like a motor car, our bodies need fuel. Of course, it's not always easy to tell just how certain foods fit into each of the specific food groups.
It's often quite hard to categorise the foods that you buy in the supermarket into one of those groups because they're often a mixture. So what's pizza? You know, it's got a mixture of everything on it. And so the foods that we see every day don't necessarily fall into these 5 key groups.
Essentially, our diets need to contain the correct blend from each of the 5 food groups. Eating from each of these groups in the right proportion is the key to a fit and healthy lifestyle. The Australian Guide to Healthy Eating tells us that growing teenagers should eat between 5 to 11 serves of cereals, 3 serves of fruit and vegetables, 3 serves of dairy, and 1 serve from the protein group a day. A single serve from each food group is usually about the size of a clenched fist. Sometimes foods, such as chips, biscuits, and sweet drinks, should be consumed sparingly. This is because saturated fats, excess salt, and added sugar can lead to overweight and disease. While breaking food into groups and specifying certain quantities to be eaten may seem complicated, it's actually quite simple if we remember a few basic rules.
I do like the approach that Michael Pollan took in the New York Times, where he reduced it to 3 core messages. Eat foods, not too much, mainly plants. Eat foods in terms of foods that are recognisable as foods. So a lot of the products in the supermarket weren't there 100 years ago. They've been highly processed. They often have claims about low fat and low this and extra that. And the more processed they are, the less they become like real foods. Not too much. We're in the wave of an obesity epidemic. We spend our lives sitting on our backsides, using automatic this and computerised that and driving in cars, and so we don't burn that much energy, and we're actually going to have to eat less. It's not a very popular message, but we're going to have to do it.
Good nutrition allows us to reach our highest levels of fitness on the sporting field, but it also helps us perform to our best in the classroom.
If we're skipping breakfast, then we might not be able to perform effectively at school because we haven't got enough nutrients in our system to be able to power those concentrating activities, a compromise on ability to be able to concentrate and focus.
A healthy diet also helps us reach our peak on a social level. Through feeling good and having energy, we're more likely to go out, see our friends and have fun. Eating a balanced diet is essential for good health. A balanced diet includes foods from the 5 major food groups. Saturated fat, added sugar and salt should be avoided. Eating a balanced diet allows us to reach our peak performance, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Nutrients are the chemical elements and compounds we need to nourish our bodies. We extract nutrients out of the food we eat. Nutrients are comprised of carbohydrates, protein, water, dietary fibre, fats and lipids, vitamins and minerals. Carbohydrates provide the major source of energy for the body. Composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, carbohydrates make up a major part of our diet.
And so simple carbohydrate foods are sugar foods. And the sugars can include things like table sugar, the white sugar that you would sprinkle on foods, honey, or even fruit sugar. More complicated carbohydrate foods are those which are found in starchy foods like potato and pasta and rice and whole grain bread, cereals. And these essentially are also carbohydrate, but more complicated carbohydrate foods.
Proteins are very important, as they are the main structural material in our bodies, helping us to build and repair muscles, bones and tissue. Like carbohydrate, proteins contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Complete protein foods include fish, lean meat, chicken, eggs and low-fat dairy. Incomplete protein foods include nuts and legumes. Vitamins and minerals are found in a variety of foods, but most particularly fruit and vegetables. They're complex chemical compounds that allow biochemical processes to take place in our bodies, without which we would become ill or die.
So biochemical processes in the body often require a small amount of chromium or a small amount of iron. Iron is used, for example, in the hemoglobin and the blood circulation. Calcium is used not only to build bones, but also is very important in signalling, in nerve fibre conduction, in muscle function. So all of these micronutrients are required for many, many processes within the body.
Fats, also known as lipids, provide us with fat-soluble vitamins and essential fatty acids. They're found in animal and plant foods, including butters and margarines. Highly processed foods, such as chips, biscuits, cakes and pastries, also contain large amounts of fat, as well as excess salt and sugar. There are 2 kinds of fats, saturated and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are considered the unhealthy fats, with excess consumption contributing to serious disease. Unsaturated fats are considered healthy fats.
And the healthy fats are the things which are generally those which are liquid at room temperature, so oils, also the fats that are found in fish and nuts and avocado. These fats are really healthy, and so we should look at including those in our diet. Fats in seeds, we should be aiming to eat some of those as well for a healthy diet.
Dietary fibre is a type of carbohydrate which is found in plant foods. As it can't be broken down by the human body, it provides bulk in our digestive system. This prevents constipation and helps us maintain good health. Water is sometimes overlooked as a nutrient, but it is very important in human health. Water helps transport nutrients around the body, excrete waste materials, control body temperature, and support many of the body's chemical reactions.
I guess the important thing in that is to remember 60 to 65% of your body is essentially made up of water. So if you lose a lot of water, you're losing quite a bit of your body weight.
Nutrients are chemical compounds we use to nourish our bodies. Nutrients are found in the food we eat. There are 7 key nutrients. Carbohydrates provide energy. Proteins help build body structures. Vitamins and minerals support biochemical processes. Fats provide fat-soluble vitamins and fatty acids. Dietary fibre provides bulk for the digestive system. Water transports nutrients and supports body chemical reactions. To reach and maintain our peak level of physical, mental and social performance, we need to take in the right blend of nutrients from the 5 food groups. Each of these nutrients plays a specific role in our entire body function. There is one specific nutrient, however, that is most important when it comes to supplying energy.
There are nutrients which are more important, and those to be able to fuel the activity, and those essentially are carbohydrate-rich foods.
Carbohydrates supply the main source of energy for our muscles when we are engaged in high-intensity activity. Athletes competing in events where sustained energy is required often load up on carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are found in pasta, rice, breads, cereals and grains. The body has limited capacity to store carbohydrates, so it's essential we eat enough of them to supply energy to the muscles, brain and central nervous system. Fat is also very important as a provider of energy for the body. In a healthy diet, fat can supply 20 to 30% of the body's energy needs. However, due to the high amounts of energy contained in fat, we need to be careful about how much we consume. Unlike other nutrients, fat can be stored in the body in vast quantities.
Fat that's the most energy dense. That's the one that has the most energy packed within it, most calories packed within it, which is why it's more liable to put on weight. Fat, it's very efficiently stored in the body, so that if I eat more than I burn, then my body will store what I haven't used as fat. It goes easily into the body and gets easily stored, and that's part of the reason for the obesity epidemic.
Protein plays an important role in us reaching and maintaining peak performance, as it repairs the damage to our muscles caused by exercise. After extensive use of muscles, it may be advisable to eat additional protein. Top-level athletes frequently consume protein supplements in the form of drinks and shakes. The consumption of water is essential before, during and after physical activity. As it's typical to sweat during activity, it's essential we replace that fluid and avoid dehydration, which can be life-threatening. It may be advisable to consume special sports drinks that replenish fluids, carbohydrates, minerals and electrolytes. Just as it's important to provide our body with the right kinds of nutrients for activity, we also need to make sure we reduce our consumption of the wrong kinds of foods. Evidence suggests that overconsumption of salt leads to high blood pressure, which increases the risk of heart disease. Therefore, we should limit our consumption of salty foods. Fatty foods and foods with added sugar also should be avoided, as they can lead to obesity, ill health and lower all-round performance.
Sweetened drinks are bad news. Highly processed, highly fatty and sugary foods are bad news. The best ones, fruit, vegetables, full of water, full of all these good micronutrients, less likely to put on weight. That's what the basis of our diet should be.
Carbohydrate is the principal source of the body's energy. Fat is also high in energy. Fat is easily stored on the body and can lead to obesity. Protein repairs muscle damage caused by exercise. Water must be consumed before, during and after physical activity. Salts, sugar and fat-rich foods should be avoided. Food is our body's source of energy. As the food passes through the digestive system, we extract the nutrients we need to make a chemical compound called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. ATP is the basic building block of energy in our body. When ATP is divided on a chemical level, energy is released. However, for energy to be maintained, the ATP must be renewed. The body has three methods of doing this. The first method is called the ATP-PC system. This method is used when we need explosive energy. First, the ATP is divided and energy is released. At this point, phosphocreatine, another chemical found in our muscles, adds a phosphate group to rebuild the ATP. This allows the ATP to divide again, and the process of energy release continues. Our muscles only store about 10 seconds worth of phosphocreatine. Therefore, after this time, our bodies must turn to the second energy system, called anaerobic glycolysis. Anaerobic glycolysis works by creating new ATP molecules from glycogen, which is the stored form of sugar in our bodies. This process has a downside. It releases lactic acid into our muscles, which is why they start to feel sore and stiff during exercise. The third method kicks in after about 30 seconds of sustained activity. It's called the aerobic energy system and uses oxygen to synthesize ATP from glycogen. Most sporting activities utilize a combination of the three energy systems. Let's look at a 400-metre running race. The ATP-PC system will provide the explosive energy needed to commence. However, before the athletes have run 100 metres, the anaerobic glycolysis system will take over. After around 30 seconds, oxygen will become available to the muscles and the aerobic energy system will take over. Just as different activities can utilise different energy systems, different activities can also have different nutritional requirements. Energy requirements can vary greatly, particularly when it comes to different sports. For this reason, elite sporting institutes ensure their athletes take in the right kind of nutrients for their given activity.
With athletes here at the AIS, what we do is the sports dietitians individually assess each athlete's needs and give them advice on what they should be eating and the timing of that and all the other logistics that they need to consider around their training schedules. Here in the dining hall, what we do is we provide a whole range of foods that are low fat, high carbohydrate, moderate levels of protein, and within that the sports dietitians will have given the athletes the advice on what choices they need to make to meet their specific needs.
For example, gymnasts require a high power-to-weight ratio and must eat foods without too high in energy content, as this could lead to overweight.
At the other end of the scale, we might have really large heavyweight rowers or really tall basketball players or volleyball players who are still growing and developing, who are trying to bulk up and who are training, 5 hours a day, and their energy needs are huge. And so for them, the challenge is just to eat enough. And within that, still eating the right quality so that they achieve the sorts of changes to their body that they need to achieve.
ATP is the basic building block of energy in our body. There are three ATP energy systems: the ATP-PC system, anaerobic glycolysis, and the aerobic energy system. Different sports require different levels of energy output and therefore have different nutritional requirements. Elite sports people ensure that their nutritional intake is appropriate for their chosen sport. Eating the wrong foods in large quantities can lead to poor performance, such as low energy levels and poor concentration, as well as diet-related disease. Obesity is caused by an overconsumption of foods that contain large amounts of saturated fats and sugars, and is a serious problem in the Western world. People with obesity can suffer psychological and emotional problems brought on by social rejection. There are also several serious physical health issues directly linked to obesity, such as diabetes, heart disease, and hypertension. Diabetes is a condition in which the body doesn't produce or cannot process insulin. Without insulin, the body cannot process glucose, its main source of fuel. Type 2 diabetes is the most common form of diabetes and is related to a poor diet. If left unchecked, it can be life-threatening.
This disease of diabetes, which is now on the rise and has a lot of complications, eye disease, nerve disease, requiring amputations, kidney disease, heart attacks, those sorts of things. That is really the big disease that we're facing. That's almost all due to being overweight and unfit.
Cardiovascular disease, which includes coronary heart disease and stroke, is caused by arteriosclerosis, the build-up of fats, cholesterol, and other substances in the major blood vessels or arteries around the heart. This build-up, called plaque, causes the arteries to become narrower and the heart strains to pump blood. Constantly straining to pump blood, the heart gets weaker, eventually resulting in heart failure. Thrombosis occurs when a clot of plaque breaks away from the artery wall. If the clot stops blood from reaching the heart, a heart attack can result. If the clot stops blood from reaching the brain, it can cause a stroke. Cardiovascular disease is largely preventable and is brought on by eating foods high in saturated fat, salt and sugar, drinking excess alcohol, smoking, and insufficient exercise. Hypertension is another term for high blood pressure, meaning the heart is pumping blood through the arteries with too much force. It is a serious condition as the excess force damages the arteries. If left untreated, it can cause arteriosclerosis, stroke, and heart failure. Even a mild case of obesity doubles the risk of hypertension. Eating a low-fat, low-salt diet with plenty of fruits, vegetables and grains, reducing weight, exercising regularly, and stopping smoking has been shown to lower blood pressure. Bone health is seriously affected by poor eating habits. It's essential that we take in sufficient levels of protein, calcium, and other vitamins and minerals at an early age so we achieve our optimal peak bone mass. This reduces the chance of osteoporosis and bone fracture in later years. Cancer has also been linked to poor dietary choices. Bowel cancer or colorectal cancer is a particularly common cancer in industrialised countries. Untreated, this form of cancer spreads to the liver and other organs, which is fatal. A diet high in fat, char-grilled meat and alcohol is believed to increase the risk of bowel cancer. It's recommended we eat plenty of fibre to ensure cancer-causing substances move quickly through the bowel and are expelled. Using drugs designed to enhance sporting performance can also have serious implications for physical health. Stimulants such as amphetamines affect heart function and reduce the body's ability to regulate temperature. Anabolic steroids, designed to increase muscle mass, can cause liver damage and infertility. Hormones can be taken to increase muscle size and strength. These chemicals can cause diabetes and assorted problems with joints and muscles. In the interests of human health and fair play, in 1967, the International Olympic Committee banned or restricted performance-enhancing drugs. Obesity is associated with an overconsumption of fat and sugar and can cause many diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease and hypertension. Osteoporosis and some cancers are linked to poor dietary choices. Performance-enhancing drugs can also cause life-threatening disease. A healthy diet supplies the nutrients we need to live well and avoid diet-related disease. Importantly, though, the benefits are more than just physical.
You know, Roman philosophers and Greek philosophers have said for centuries and centuries that a healthy body is very important to enable a healthy mind. And if we can think about it in that context, it's more about keeping our body as healthy as possible to maximise our cognitive potential.
Good physical health can translate into positive social, emotional and intellectual performance. giving us the strength and the focus to think clearly, stay happy, and enjoy the people and world around us.